Welcome to Noise to Music, where we take the noise of everyday life and search for the music hidden inside of it. I'm your host, Chaim Levy, and this is episode 32.
Okay, everyone. So let's, there's really so much to talk about, and there's so many appropriate topics that could be brought up. The first thing is, like, I really think about when I think one of the benefits that you have when you're joining this is you're kind of tapping into the energy that's going on in Israel, by me being in Israel and kind of conveying to you and tying together what's going on here with where you are and the sentiment. I think that's kind of an advantage. So what is going on here? Everyone knew something was going to happen, but no one knew when. Everyone was aware that, hey, there's no question something's going to happen, because the whole sketch, like, oh, let's negotiate and with Iran, and they had all these talks. Everyone knew that wasn't going to last. That was just a smokescreen. So but the question is what? So so with that in mind, the question is, how do you deal with this level of unknown? Try and put yourself for a minute. I know that most of you are not in Israel, so try and put yourself into a level of of true unknown, where you literally don't know what the next hour or next minute. Like, I could be getting a siren right now, and then would have to cut this short and go into the miklah. So you live with a tremendous level of quote unquote uncertainty. And I was giving this class in seminary. I was talking about the idea of what's the ultimate goal of where uncertainty is supposed to take you. Like, why does Hashem keep throwing uncertainty either into your life or into the Jewish people's lives? Or when we study the Torah, it's on a constant, level of uncertainty. There's always it's like an action-packed story. So what's the goal of it? What's the goal of Hashem constantly wanting to create this level of uncertainty? For example, I'll give you an example. The Ramban talks about the test of the Ananei Kavod and the fire. Jewish people were in the desert, which is a whole nother class. You should listen to the last podcast 31. It's posted on the group chat that we have, the WhatsApp chat. Those that are not on it, text me and I'll add you to it. But it's a really phenomenal class that goes through the process of Yetziat Mitzrayim all the way to Matan Torah and all the tests in the middle, and really kind of maps out a fundamental point. In any event, after Matan Torah, we were supposed to go into Israel. We didn't. We sinned with the Chet HaEgel, and we had this Ananei Kavod. So Ramban says, what was the Ananei Kavod? The Ananei Kavod was when this cloud was guiding us, and it was cloud during the day, fire at night. So Ramban says, like, what was the test that we were walking around? That's not a test. When God's leading you, that's not a test. Don't forget, they had the man, they had the water, they had Moshe Rabbeinu. The test was the fact that at any moment, God could have given them clarity in terms of how long they're staying in the place that they are. When are they leaving? Where are they going to? And God gave them nothing. They just had to follow with this, like, closed-minded perspective. And this is the key point. This is such a key point in terms of developing a relationship with Hashem. Like, it's not the situation that you're in now that's the focus of the test. Okay, it's the place that it pushes you. Meaning, someone asked me on Shabbat. Someone said, "How do you know what Hashem wants from you?" But wherever the pain that you feel, wherever the discomfort is within that situation for you, be it emotionally or intellectually, that's what Hashem wants you to work on. So when we were in the desert and we were following Ananei Kavod, it wasn't the fact that we were walking. It wasn't the fact that we were walking, with in the desert. It was the fact that we were following God, and he could have easily told us where we were going and how long we were staying and so on and so forth, but he didn't. And that was the challenge. The challenge is following God in the unknown, but not just in the unknown. In the unknown, and he can tell you Hashem could tell you, hey, this is what's about to happen. Just prep yourself. He doesn't. He wants you to perform in the unknown. So bringing that sentiment from Israel, there are those that are called now that are in Eshel that like know that this is what's going on. It's like it's living in the unknown, but not dragging your feet in the unknown. It's really learning to thrive in the world of the unknown. I always bring this example. There's Rabbi Akiva and there's Nachum Ish Gamzu. Rabbi Akiva says, Kol hakava letovah, which means everything negative that happens is for the best, but it still has a negative tone. Kol akava. Akava is from the Lashon ikuv. And then there's gamzu letovah. Gamzu letovah means this also is for the best. Meaning like what negativity? I don't know what you're talking about. Meaning you're going through something and you're experiencing it and you don't see any negative. That's the ultimate. That's the highest level. To live on a daily basis, to live on a constant basis in the world of the unknown and not be in an emotional state of negativity, because there's nothing to be negative about. And even though the world might think that you're crazy, right? So within that said, when we talk about what's going on in Israel now, what's the sentiment? The real people that are succeeding, and for those that joined, I was saying that today in Israel is the day before Purim, and in outside Purim, all the schools start with Purim. So all the little kids, today's costume day. So it was canceled. There's no school, right? So what happened is that, for example, where I live, there's like whatever, there's 6, 8 buildings, and there's I'll send a picture on the group chat afterwards, the WhatsApp. There's parking underneath parking. So all the buildings got together and they made a kids carnival with costumes and jumping thingies and inflatables and all that and clowns and all this, and they made like a carnival for the kids locally. What does that mean? That means like you take the situation, and I'm not going to call it negative, and you see the beauty in it and you take it step by step and you thrive. That's the training that Hashem wants us to do. So it's on one hand, like what's the sentiment in Israel and how deep is it related to Purim? It's on that level. And that's what we should all be. That's what we should all be striving to. It's much harder for you if you don't live in Israel, because in Israel you're so in tune with dependency on Hashem. It's a lot harder when you don't live here, but that's essentially the goal. That's I would say the beauty of the moment that's going on. All right. So now we get a little bit into Megillah Esther. Hashem's name's famous point. Hashem's name doesn't appear in the Megillah. It says Hamelech, the king, but it doesn't appear in the Megillah. This is unlike Egypt. In Egypt, Hashem is everywhere, right? The commentaries ask, in fact, why even do we need the miracle of Purim? What did it bring to the table? What's bigger? And I don't mean to be cliche here, but like, what trumps Yetziat Mitzrayim? Yetziat Mitzrayim was everything. You had these 10 miracles. You had the splitting of the sea. You had Matan Torah. I've really eaten at the best restaurant that I possibly can. There's no value being brought by another holiday. Yeah, we still have Chanukah and we still have Purim. What did Purim bring to the table? So the answer is very simple. And it really is a procession, because you could ask the same question when it comes to Yetziat Mitzrayim regarding to creation of the world. Like, what did Yetziat Mitzrayim add that the creation of the world did it? So it was another level of relatability. Later on, we had more. It was the last of the 2 holidays. It was Purim and then Chanukah. And then we went into exile. So why do we even need Purim? And why is Hashem's name hidden? So the answer is because Egypt, is like seeing Hashem in this miraculous, great way, which is a level within itself. But that's not going to be Jewish history. That is not going to be Jewish history. What's going to be Jewish history is seeing Hashem with Hashem being hidden, and that's the story of Purim. So the story of Purim is about, right before we're about to go into exile, the message is like, listen, if you want to survive and make it through, you have to get used to seeing me in your day-to-day without all these tremendous miracles. But it's not enough just to see Hashem. It's to live in that positive mode. It's to live in that place of Nachum Ish Gamzu, of Gamzu Letovah. And that's what Purim is actually bringing to the table. And it's total nullification of like the physical, as opposed to Yom Kippur. We know we say Yom Kippurim, Kippurim, right? And it's a very odd holiday. Like in Judaism, in Jewish thought, we generally don't promote like drinking and frivolity and like losing it, and and that whole vibe of alcohol and partying. It's everything is usually very structured. There's like 4 cups of wine on Pesach. It's not like 20 cups of wine. There's no other holiday that really has this. Yet when it comes to Purim, it's like ad de lo yada, like it says ad de lo yada, like really nullification. Why? Because, and this is so key. I don't know if I know you get to laugh. I mean, but I've been saying this for so long. If anyone's taking notes, like I would write this point down. The Sfat Emet says that it discusses this idea that emunah and bitachon begins where knowledge stops, where knowledge ends. Meaning the point that you stop understanding is the place of where your bitachon starts. It's literally mind-blowing. What does that mean? And the Sfat Emet like elaborates on this. He says that you don't need bitachon for things you understand. You don't need bitachon for things you understand. You need bitachon and trust in God for things you don't understand. Right? So bitachon, trust in God, it only starts in the place of not understanding. When things don't make sense, that's when you can start talking about, now, will you trust, will you not, is another question. But where does it even start? So that means it starts in the place of not understanding. That means Hashem has to put you in a situation where you're surrounded by not understanding and you step into the world of trust. Now you're a Baal Bitachon. Okay, so Purim, when we talk about the significance of Purim in opposition to other holidays, it's nature. It's a queen. You look at the story. It's a Jewish girl who marries a king and she saves the day. Like we all know the story. You know what I mean? There's nothing so grand about it. All right, but it's and the drinking aspect that we spoke about is like the nullification of the body, right? The one of the places that it talks about bitachon, it talks about you needing to bring your heart on board. What does bitachon have to do with your heart? It should be doing with your mind. No, because bitachon is not an understanding thing. Sometimes in life and sometimes in situations, the only thing you have to lean on is your gut. It's your gut. That's it. That's all you have. Because if you try and figure it out mentally, meaning understanding it, it won't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. Right? We see that throughout Tanakh on a constant basis. Avraham Avinu was constantly being tested with things that don't understand, that don't make sense. All right. So when we talk about Purim, talk about preparation, and so apropos to this time that we're experiencing right now with what's going on in the world, it's seeing Hashem's miracles, it's seeing Hashem's hand within nature, Hashem guiding everything. And we partner with him. We partner with him in these aspects. Now, Amalek is actually the exact opposite. The pasuk, it says in Devarim, we just read in Pashat Zachor, Asher karcha baderech. What does karcha mean? Rashi says, what does karcha mean? Karcha comes from the word mikre, because karcha is from the same word as mikre. Mikre in Hebrew means what? Chance. What does that mean by chance? Amalek's whole thing is to show us, is to convince us that everything that's going on in our life, in the world, is by chance. Because when you live in a world of chance, when you live in a world where there's no direction, there's no director, then you can identify as a cauliflower if you want, or an alligator, or a man, or a woman, or a dog, or a cat, or a totem pole. Because everything's by chance. There's no director. There's no one running. There's no quarterback here. But and that's why Amalek. That's their battle with Am Yisrael. And that's why we that's one of the reasons we nullify Amalek. Like there's no mitzvah to destroy Mitzrayim, yet they hurt us much more than Amalek ever did. Yeah, but it's a different level. There, Mitzrayim was acting out of their own self-interest. Here, Amalek wanted to destroy the ideology, and you see that with like Iran and their leadership. It was Zionism. It was the fact that the Jewish people like stood for God that they couldn't take. So when we talk about Pashat Zachor, we talk about Mechiat Amalek. Asher Karcha Baderech has a few explanations. One is Karcha is from Lashon Mikre, by chance, and another Karcha comes from, and Rav Hirsch explains this point. He explains that Karcha Baderech means that they cooled you off. That Amalek's goal is to cool us off. Hey, what are you getting so excited about Judaism for? What are you making tefillah and berachot and such a central part of your life, right? People always say, business is business, religion is religion. No, cool off a little bit. Don't be so religious. I'm not talking about the way you look or the way you do dress or talk. No, in your heart, bringing God into every sentiment, Asher karcha baderech, like to cool you off from making Judaism relatable. If you want to know the antidote, the medicine for raising good kids and raising ourselves, it's keeping Judaism fresh and relevant to our everyday life. Those of you that are married that are on board here and have children or whatnot, you want Judaism to compete with whatever's going on out there. It has to be relevant. It has to be hot. It has to be interesting. Like I'll see if I'll post the video of the Purim carnival that they put in Israel in my blog for the kids. It's like they took, you have lemons, you make lemon juice, make it relevant, and Amalek is the opposite. No, it's Asher Karcha Baderech. Like no, it's cold, it's cooled off, or it's all by chance. When we talk about what lessons essentially we can take from Purim, we could take from these times that are going on that are so fundamental. And I've been thinking about picking up the Sunday class, and I'm putting Malka on standby over here, and I'm literally calling her. I see what says D and go Sephardic. That's Malka. She's hiding behind. She thinks she could hide behind her little Zoom name or whatever it is over there. She's also going to be part of these classes on Sunday. So when I was talking about it, it's like whatever was going on now, I just said, if we don't start now, then really it's kind of like now or never type of thing. And one of the topics I've been talking about a lot is that, and I gave this class Thursday night. If I see there's some people from Eshel, there's two levels of a test. There's a level of a test that's a very base level, which is just like animalistic, like kosher or lashon hara or stealing. That's just like, I'm hungry, I only have $2, it's a McDonald's, that's it. Tefillin, you could put into that category. Like we all know you're going to need to put on tefillin. You're not philosophically, opposed to it. The higher level of a test, which is reserved for tzaddikim, is called the test of confusion. I like to call it the test of confusion. What is that? That's when Hashem places you in a situation that doesn't make sense. He puts you in a situation where you're following his rules, you're following his regulations, you're quote unquote like the good person, and things don't make sense. That's called the test of confusion. Every one of our tzaddikim had that. Abraham had it with Akedah Yitzchak. Take your child, sacrifice him. He's going to be the next future. Yosef had it. Eshet Potifar at Mitzrayim. He listened to his dad, and look what happened. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu had it time and time again. Hashem says, go take my people out. He goes in and when he gets there, it makes it worse. And everyone says, I don't understand. Like, you're God's messenger. Why is it becoming worse? It should be becoming better. right? It's where and someone coined it, like, well, Hashem like kind of messes with your mind. But that, remember what we said with the Sfat Emet, Emunah and Bitachon start where understanding end. When you keep going with that relationship in moments that don't make sense, that's where your bitachon, that's where your bitachon is really starts. When we talk about Purim, we talk about Mithyat Amalek, we talk about things that are relevant to our generation and what we're living through now, then we need to talk about, like I said, picking up from where things don't make sense and working on our emunah and bitachon in situations that not necessarily, we're all past, like, you know, the base level tests, driving on Shabbat for no reason, like, or stealing or eating not kosher or something like that. Those are just base level tests. We're here on a higher level, which is thriving in situations of confusion. And that's what the mask of Purim represents. What's a mask? A mask is when you look, you have a cover and it looks like one a clown or whatnot, and you remove it and something totally different behind it. That's what Purim is like, it looks like it's Achashverosh and Esther and Mordechai. Really, it's Hashem behind the scenes the entire time, the whole thing through. So me ten Be'ezrat Hashem, that God willing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should guide all of Am Yisrael, should guide our soldiers, he should protect them, all Jewish people. We should be aligned with God and be able to overcome the test of confusion and keep seeing the beauty of Hashem in our daily lives.